At this time, Senator Alma Francis Heyliger, you are recognized for your 7 minutes.
Good day, good morning, good morning. Good morning to my colleagues, good morning to the testifiers, good morning to the people of the territory. I think that this is a very timely conversation that we need to have, especially with all the things that we see happening in our community. And when you're dealing with unfortunate victims that have had to deal with a lot of things and not realizing how important it is that they have to also be taken care of, because first and foremost, they are the victims. I was looking at the amendments, I was looking at the bill, I was looking at so many different aspects of this. But when I was looking at Act 7519, which if you ever got a chance to look at the amendment, it was attempting to amend that specific act. And I want to ask a couple questions around the improvements that are happening. In Act 7519, which was from 2023, it speaks to unless waived by the victim, the territorial parole board shall within 30 days prior to notice advise the victim of the following: that an inmate is being considered for parole, that the date for the parole hearing, and 3, the victim's right to submit documents to and provide testimony for the board and the hearing. The territorial board shall notify the victim at least 24 hours prior to an inmate being paroled. Now, a couple of things around that, because I know with this bill that's being proposed, they amended this section to say 48 hours instead of 28 hours. That was one of the things improved here. But when you change it over to BOC, do you now take this away from the parole board, this aspect of it, or they still within law would be dealing with that, and just totally completely the Board of Corrections would handle everything from henceforth? Anyone understands that? Oh, did anyone hear me?
I heard you, Senator. I don't know if the testifiers could speak, but I would hope it's in addition, because that piece of it is similar working. I have been to many parole hearings, and they do notify the victims when they can find them. And I have to give Ms. Leiber credit at BOC, because if they can't find them, they'll call my office. And I'm sure they do the same thing at the Family Resource Center, and I can't find Ms. Heyliger. Clemmer, do y'all know how to reach out? A hearing is coming. They also now publish in the newspaper. I'm very happy for that. So in terms of that piece, they've been doing a good job with that. I would have to say yes.
Because I'm happy to hear that some part is working, because we had some concerns with the court part earlier. I wanted to find out also with this part in the law and the updates that is being done in Bill 34-141, one of the things that I recognize is not every single person is going to be paroled. There are going to be some people that their sentence is up and they leave. So I could see the importance of where we would have to add additional improvements in regards to that. So I definitely understand that aspect of it. One of the things I wanted to ask, is there anything, Attorney George, that you guys would normally have to do in regards to dealing with parolees or individuals being released from the police or Bureau of Corrections that would potentially impact this in any way? Because I know you wanted it to be shifted, but there's no part or any part that you guys need to be dealing with? Your mic.
What needed to be shifted, which the amendment does, is to put the onus on the Bureau of Corrections, because there's no way that we can know at Department of Justice when somebody is released or anything like that. So that's what that had to do with. But we have to work in conjunction with Bureau of Corrections, because we handle the cases and we have the victims. Because when we are prosecuting, it's the victims and the witnesses they're our victims and witnesses. So we have to link there. And that has been a source of somewhat frustration because of how difficult the system has been thus far, as expressed to me by our Director of Victim Services, because sometimes we don't get that link, so we don't know. So sometimes we get the call. Why is this? I just ran into the person who just assaulted me. Or the court just let this person out on their own recognizance just like that, and I just got assaulted, and I'm still suffering just last night. So we get the calls, and Ms. Brathwaite, she can chime in, but so that's our connection. So it is really essential that we get that information so we could take care of the victims as well, if possible.
Definitely. This is for Bureau of Corrections. Do you guys have any plans in place when you're attempting to, someone has to be released from the Bureau of Corrections? Are there any types of plans to help teach them for prevention of interacting with former victims, prepare them for going back on the outside to know, stay clear? Are there any things like that you do in preparation of them being released?
Good afternoon, it's Assistant Director Hansen. Yes, we do. Our inmates do have counseling when they're here. When they're in our custody, they are counseled. Obviously, what needs to happen is we do need to work in concert with the Department of Justice. We need to make, what we need to do is make this a part of our release protocol, that we inform Justice that when the intent is to release, they're notified. I do agree that it doesn't need to be a phone call. We need to do this on all forms, all media, so that everyone is informed. If we do that, I can see us making a difference in this matter.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And for any of you, outside of the organizations that do deal with victims, are you inundated as a government from many of the victims that are reaching out for help or concerned if a lot of these things are not being done to notify them? What kind of complaints do you guys get?
I have to say that, may I respond?
Mr. Chairman, she finished on the time.
Yes, the time was called, but you may respond.
I may respond. Okay. Yes, indeed. And I will. I'm going to refer just briefly also to Victim Advocate Director Alma Brathwaite, because our victim services unit is very important because we help to carry the victims through the whole prosecution process as far as answering their calls. Of course, the victims are oftentimes scared, frustrated, and they're going through this, so we help them through the process. That's part of the reason why I mentioned that we need more victim advocates. We only have one in the unit because of the importance of being able to serve the victims that way. So we are impacted when this doesn't work, because when it is that they're released and it's unexpected, we don't have the opportunity to warn them. Ms. Brathwaite, I'll let you continue because I know that you intimately have been involved in this for a while. We're not hearing you. Sorry. Okay. So what I would say to answer your question, Senator, is that it does impact us tremendously. And even in response to what Senator Francis had mentioned, we are prosecutors. We get enemies. We are, in a certain position. We want to know too. So it is really quite an impact, and that's why I push for a system that can really be efficient and really work.
Also, I think Attorney Simpson wanted to chime in.
Okay.
Thank you. I just wanted to add that often we don't get complaints from victims right away because victims aren't necessarily interested as in the first part of the criminal process. Not always, but sometimes. But the nice thing about the Vine Project would be that whenever they do become interested, they can sign up. So that would alleviate a lot of issues further down the road when we're able to help them in that form.
Okay, thank you for that. Senator Francis Heyliger, your time was called, but do you want a rebuttal in regards to what was just said?
Well, it's not so much of a rebuttal. I do appreciate the information that they have been giving and sharing so I could have a more informed decision to decide on whether this bill should move forward or not. So I want to thank you so much for this opportunity and your information. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Attorney General.